Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle, Week 6 across the state of Ohio for high school football. We've checked in with the Stowe Bulldogs before, and the Bulldogs figured not to be in a good mood after losing to Wadsworth, and they're back at it again. Hayden Bartels, the quarterback, a nice adjustment by Tyler Shaver. He grabs it for the touchdown, and the Bulldogs up 16-0 at that point. The defense on the field. Brian DeVitas comes up with the pick. Take a look at Brian DeVitas. Down the far sidelines and dives into the end zone. The pick six, 23-0. The Bulldogs leading in the first quarter. So take a look at that as Mark Norrie's guys after it in a hurry.
Well, and you mentioned that Stowe would be angry. You know, would be really angry, the defensive side of that football, because that's their bread and butter. That's where they've been hanging their hat during this run that they've had over the last few years, and they give up 41 points to that Wadsworth team last week. They're not going to be happy about that. No matter how those points came, 41 is too many, and they are bouncing back in a huge way.
It also leads you to kind of say, boy, if Wadsworth did that to Stowe, they must be a pretty darn good football team.
Absolutely. And here's Levock, actually from Nordonia, the quarterback here. He had 3 picks last week. And so that was something that I thought that Nordonia was going to have to correct coming to week 6 against Stowe. And Stowe, you know, they're a very good defensive team as well. So to see them have that pick and to be down this early in the game is really a little disturbing right now for the Knights. But again, this is the Suburban League champion that you're facing, the co-champion along with Hudson. But you can't get down this early. And obviously, I don't know, are they going to be able to come back from this?
And the other thing you saw, and obviously we didn't see the interceptions by Robbie Levac, but there's a lot of pressure that's getting to that quarterback. And when you run a spread, it's timing, and if there's pressure and the quarterback has to move, that disrupts that. And that seems to be what's happening to Nordonia's offense. It's not just on the quarterback, it's the line, it's the receivers. There's no timing. It's timing offense, and the timing, you need the line, and you need the line to start, and then the receivers and the quarterback have to follow, and it's not been there.
And if you're Stowe, you're going up against a Nordonia team that is 0-5 coming into this game. So you look at them and say, okay, should be able to beat that team because you got Twinsburg coming up. You've got Hudson coming up. You got that rivalry game with Cuyahoga Falls, and then you've got Brecksville. So the last stretch of this schedule is a very difficult one for Stowe. So they've got to take care of business against a team like Nordonia, and so far, so good for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and going to the Nordonia side of it, I'm just kind of wondering, just, you know, before a game like this, you know, what are you guys talking about what are you guys talking about in the locker room? Because this is a Suburban League, this is a league game for you guys. You guys are down 0-5. You know, the playoff projections right now are just not in favoring of you right now. But right now they're down by 23, I think we saw there at the time period. And, you know, right now they need to be able to find some answers on offense. And right now they're just not finding that. So
you're going to have some opportunities to play spoiler if you're Nordonia, even though you're 0-5. You know, it's probably not going to happen tonight. But you do have Brecksville. You do have North Royalton. You do have your last game against Twinsburg. So that's kind of what you're playing for. Get better as this season goes along, and maybe try and play spoiler at the end and try and end your season on a high note.
Well, in that Suburban League mode, one of the smaller Suburban League schools, the Highland Hornets, unbeaten on the season, 5-0, taking on the Green Bulldogs. And the Green Bulldogs offense growling as Cage Williams rolls out and throws. It's the fullback, Matthew Amison, into the end zone for the touchdown. Look at the big fella. Shows he can catch it and gets into the end zone. And Green on the scoreboard against the Highland Hornets, a 7-0 lead in the second quarter. So Green breaks on top.
Very quietly, Green is having a nice season. 3-2, and Cage Williams, a dual threat quarterback. Had a nice week last week, 126 yards passing, 73 yards through the air, had a game-winning field goal in a game against Glen Oak. They're very quietly having a nice year. In
the last few years, they've lost some really good playmakers as well, but you also got to remember they're in Region 5, so they have to be able to raise their game. And to come out with a 15-13 win against Glen Oak last week was, you know, just a credit to how they finished the game. So Green, it's going to be a very tough squad. This is going to be a very tough squad. Highland's going to have to figure out what they're going to have to do to stop this team as well.
Well, one of the games we're keeping our eye on, Division I, Mentor taking on Medina. And that Cardinals offense starting to get things rolling. Tadas Tatarunas, time to throw. He finds Jake Floria all alone in the end. I'm sorry, Luke Floria, Jake Floria's brother. Luke Floria grabs it in the end zone for the touchdown. You can't leave a Menor wide receiver that wide open. 14-0. Menor leading Medina.
And if you're not gonna rush the passer, if you're gonna try and cover, you got to cover, and they didn't do it.
The Cardinals are playing like they want to win this conference title this year. Solon was the champion last couple years here, but Menor is knocking on that door right now, and so is Euclid right now. So, this is it's a good sign to see Menor getting on the board already. But Medina, again, as we talked about earlier, they've had their struggles early in the first 5 weeks of the season. So we're going to see, hopefully, they maybe try to be able to keep this game a little tight, but projections are kind of just showing that it could get out of hand tonight for them. So,
the other thing that is impressive is this is one of those years where the Cardinals are able to run the ball effectively with Chris Edmonds. By and large, now there are other guys that are running the football, but when they have somebody that can run out of that spread, then you got to start cheating people in, and then you got to deal with those 5 wide receivers.
Yeah, and you've had this quarterback that's been starting for so long, knows how to run this offense. I mean, he probably can recite plays in his sleep out of this offense at this point. And I think we're seeing that this Menor team, as this season has gone along, they got off to that slow start against Massillon, but they blew that game open. They lose to St. Ignatius. A lot of teams are going to lose to St. Ignatius this year, but a 41-31 game, that's a close contest, especially for the Wildcats this year. This is shaping up to be one of those really good Menor teams, a team that's very complete offensively. And again, I talked about the defense. They had a shutout last week. They've had games where they've given up 15, 14. It seems like this defense can play a little bit.
And Medina should have known that coming into week 6 against Menor, because they're giving up 30 points a game in the first 5 weeks of the season. So Medina has to be able to correct some of that. And obviously, with all the personnel changes that are going on, they need to find answers on who's going to be our leading tackler, who's going to be able to make the plays for us on defense. But right now, it looks like Menor's trying to run away with it early. So.
One of the games we're keeping an eye on, Bill Mayville is at the Hudson North Royalton game. He joins us on the field. North Royalton coming off a very impressive win over Twinsburg a week ago. Bill, how is the Hudson North Royalton game going?
Hudson jumped out to an early 13-0 lead. They had an explosive 3-4 play drive. Both plays took it down the field real quick and scored. Then on the ensuing possession, Hudson picked off a pass, and they turned that into another touchdown. North Royalton just scored to get on the board with 23 seconds left in the first quarter, so we're sitting at 13-7 right now. Hudson in lead.
Was that touchdown drive the first drive they'd put together, or had North Royalton been able to drive the football a little bit before the turnover?
No, that was really the first extended drive they had. The first one went 3 and out. The second one they threw an interception on. That was their third possession.
What's really kind of stood out about this is it kind of a matter of, is North Royalton's offense going to be able to slow down that Hudson offense? Is that kind of what you're looking at there, Bill?
A little bit, yeah. Hudson's really focusing a lot on running the ball right now. And when Colts drop back to throw, he's hit big passes down the field. So North Royalton's got to kind of pick their poison right now. They're going to stop the run, or they're going to stop the wide receivers.
Bill Mayville, we appreciate it. We will check back in with Bill. He is covering that game 13-7. So North Royalton, that's a team that's kind of sneaking up on some people. That was a very nice win against a pretty good Twinsburg team a week ago. Trying to follow it up, if they find a way to beat, a 4-1 Hudson team, puts them right in the middle of that playoff discussion.
Yeah, and you try to figure out how good teams are based on who they play. And you look at North Royalton, they've lost to Highland, who hasn't lost this season. They've lost to Stowe, who has one loss, to a very good Wadsworth team. So North Royalton, kind of a sneaky good 3-2, and they're going against a Hudson team whose only losses to Canton McKinley. Hudson, I don't know if you consider them a surprise this year, but I think they're dominating more than people thought they would. They have a very good team as well. So this is a good test for North Royalton. I'm kind of excited to see how the Bears look against Hudson over 48 minutes.
And we chatted about Hudson's defense earlier in the first 5 weeks of the season, just about the personnel changes that were going on. But the best thing that North Royalton has going for them right now is that Hudson's been giving up 20 points in the first 5 weeks. And so if you're able to use Kevin Callahan in this situation and be able to put up over 200 yards in passing like he did last week, that's going to be in favor of the Bears here. So, North Royalton is very much in this game, but Hudson obviously has the resume to going to prove that they're winners as well.
Great job of answering that, because you're down 2 scores, you put one on the board. It's a 6-point deficit for North Royalton, just what Nick Chuli's guys needed. Well, we've talked a little bit about Wadsworth, that impressive win a week ago over Stowe, where they came out and pretty much manhandled the Bulldogs. And the Grizzlies back at it again, taking on Cuyahoga Falls, and the Grizzlies offense clicking on all cylinders, a 16-0 lead. Joey Boffman buys some time. Christian Zalay all alone in the back of the end zone. Boffman finds Zalay for the touchdown, 15 yards on the play, and you get an idea of the poise and the athleticism of Boffman there. He's not in any hurry. He knows he's probably the best athlete on the field because he's an elite wrestler, and a perfect pass into the back of the end zone to the open man. 23-0 now. Wadsworth leading Cuyahoga Falls.
And we talked about how probably the bitter taste that's left in Stowe's mouth, and the reason why is because Wadsworth is clicking right now. This team is, and as you've noticed over the past weekend, Wadsworth moved up in the state rankings, moved up downs, over 200 passing yards last week. But Joey Boffman has this team moving right along, and they could even challenge maybe even Hudson for the Suburban League title this year.
That ball was in the air for a long time. The receiver probably looked like a beach ball up there. Just please don't drop this.
But there was nobody by.
No.
Nate, Chris Fedor just called in. He wants 23 push-ups for not having them high enough, Wadsworth high enough in the rankings a week ago.
Yeah, no, and we talked about it earlier, and we were actually looking at some of their body of work coming into that Stowe game. We were like, what kind of team are we seeing here? And then once they kind of just showed off against the Bulldogs last week, we were like, okay, this team is for real, and I think the state recognized that as well. So
Chris Fedor's gone from the commissioner of the Federal League last year to the athletic director of the Wadsworth Grizzlies.
Well, he's just the personal PR man of the Wadsworth Grizzlies.
He's probably got a Joey Boffman jersey.
Wanted to know why they weren't higher. What do they need to do to get higher in the rankings? They actually checked into the top 10 in the Division II AP poll at number 8. So the state took notice of that big win, and Cuyahoga Falls is a program that's trying to rebuild. So a very, very tough assignment for Cuyahoga Falls going against the likes of the Wadsworth Grizzlies this season. Is Cuyahoga Falls 0-5, Wadsworth 5-0. So.
And the defense for Wadsworth too deserves some praise. 1 of 9 on third down for Stowe last week. So they gave up some points. They gave up 28 points, but they were very good getting Stowe off the field for the most part.
Yeah, and the defense you were talking about, over the past 5 weeks, averaging 15 points, allowing 15 points per game this season. And as you can see, this is the reason why. With an offense like that, it's also helping your defense as well, and vice versa. So, the Grizzlies are out to a great start, obviously. But yeah, just a great squad right now. And again, I feel like it's going to be a really good game coming down between Hudson and them in the Suburban League. So.
Well, you mentioned the Federal League. One of the games we've checked in is from Chris Fedor's Federal League. It's the Glen Oak Golden Eagles taking on the Jackson Polar Bears. We saw Glen Oak score. There's their quarterback, Tate Rhodes, bounces it outside. Little stiff arm. Look at Tate Rhodes into the end zone for the touchdown. And that gives Glen Oak a 17-6 lead. Love Tate Rhodes. Little undersized quarterback. Really was impressed with him last year when I got to see him in person. It's actually the game he broke his collarbone in. But he is not a big guy, but he's quick, and he runs. You saw right there, he runs much bigger than his 5'7", 5'8" frame would indicate.
Yeah, he's 750 passing yards, 202 rushing yards this season. So the true definition of a dual threat guy. And for Glen Oak, that's a great start. Listen, I've been talking about quality losses all night tonight. I mean, look at Glen Oak. They lost to Whitmer. They've lost to Massillon. They lost to Green, who's kind of a sneaky good team. So they're a team that is probably better than their record shows, and they're trying to prove that against Jackson tonight.
And at some point this evening, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find some information for some of our viewers tonight. But this is a Jackson team. This is the Jackson defense that we actually talked about being a very disciplined squad when they played Perry just a short time ago in that wing T offense. So I'm just kind of curious. Just probably going to have to look back at some point and just see, you know, how did they get down the field? How were they able to put all these plays together? But right now, probably the best thing that Glen Oak can do right now is just try to get up on the board early and quickly as much as possible. So
and the one advantage for Jackson, they've got Jared Pallotta, and so they like to throw the ball. He's got big play wide receivers, but when Glen Oak has the ball in Tate Rhodes' hands, good things happen for the Golden Eagles. We're going to step aside and take a quick timeout here on Friday Night Huddle. We'll reveal the results of the top play votings from a week ago on the other side of the break. Stay with us with Nate Klein, Dan Lobby from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. You're watching Friday Night Huddle on cleveland.com and Spectrum Sports.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to auth-ctoke-auth and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle here on Spectrum Sports and cleveland.com. We have tallied the results. The accounting firm of Klein, Lobby, Fedor, and Gould has done their due diligence, and it's time to reveal the top 15 from a week ago. The 15 best plays as voted on by the readers and viewers on cleveland.com. Checking in at number 15, Elyria Catholic's Zach Evans. Watch him back in the backfield, and he throws the ball carrier for a loss, but Elyria Catholic loses to Valley Forge 19-14.
Number 14 is Massillon's Dion Williams, another defensive play. The sack, nearly a safety. They gave him forward progress out of the end zone. Massillon wins 56-46.
Now watch this carefully because you're going to think this got picked off, but check this out. Massillon's Aiden Longwell to Austin Kutcher for a touchdown. Did you see that?
Number 12, St. Vincent St. Mary's. Luke Lindsay, just a sophomore, finds Jalen Ross on the big gain, but it wasn't enough as the Fighting Irish fall to the Hoban Knights. Still a nice pitch and catch.
Number 11, how about a little trickery? Elyria Catholic's Leighton Banjoff, a halfback pass to Donovan Warfield. It's going to end in a touchdown. Unfortunately for Elyria Catholic, they would lose this football game to Valley Forge, but they make it on the top 15.
All right, at number 10. Now, even though this ended for a loss for Bedford, check this out here. Davion Johnson with the catch and run. Look at him. Running past all those Tigers. Saying meow, meow. Gets all the way to the gets into the 5-yard line there.
Checking in at number 9, some more. St. Vincent St. Mary. Russell Cooper goes one way, little pause, then goes the other way, and then heads up the sidelines. A big return to the 30-yard line. A couple of plays later from this game, later in our top 15.
Number 8, Mayfield's defense gets the interception here in the end zone to stop the Chardon drive. We're going to have more from this game later as well.
Show some love to the defense at number 7. Hoban fumbles this play, and St. Mary jumps on it. Hoban won 21-7.
Chardon's Andrew Kobieski gets around the corner, but that's not all. Cuts up. Look at the big guy run. Nobody's going to catch him. Touchdown for Kobieski, 60 yards. 20-7, Chardon beats Mayfield.
Back to Akron for number 5. It's Hoban's Tyrus Dickerson. He's going to get the catch here on the curl route and watch. Watch him here. Runs over the defender. Gets into the end zone. We're going to have even more from this game later.
And here it is. Garrett taking it to the house Hauser with the big catch for the touchdown. Look at him.
Nice adjustment.
Look awesome. Like an egg maybe. I don't know there.
Number 3, poise and confidence on display as our student reporter, Matt Ganser. Bats the ball down during his post-game interview with Bay coach Ron Rutt. Well done, Matt.
Nice. Number 2, 37% of the vote. It's Alec Grandin from Centerville to Jake Spiewak for the touchdown. A great over-the-shoulder catch. The Elks 31-19 winners over Springboro.
And 24 votes separated the number 1 here, Centerville. But here's the Highland Hornets. Jake Rogers gets the handoff and throws it to Evan Kesalonis. This play earned 39% of the votes. Highland won 42-14 against Revere here.
Now you do realize that the Highland Hornets are in the same conference as the Barberton Magic, so I'm guessing they had the Suburban League swing vote that helped them get the 39% of the vote. Hashtag FNH for Friday Night Huddle top plays. Hashtag FNH top plays. Submit your plays. We'll use them. And then you can go on to cleveland.com starting Saturday and going all the way through noon on Thursday. Vote early, vote often, and you better vote quite often because there's going to be a Barberton play, and they've won 2 of our 5 weeks.
Get that clicking finger, some work in.
Yeah, and absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if Zane Reese's touchdown run against
pretty nice one.
Aurora might be in the top plays for the week. So, yeah, definitely make sure you get out there and vote. And, we'll be tweeting it out and sharing with followers. So, yeah, great place.
The good news for other teams is Jeff Parker is not involved in that play. And Jeff Parker was involved in the 2 other plays. So we'll find out. Is it a Barberton voting block or a Jeff Parker voting block?
How about our student reporter?
Yeah,
saving the head coach.
That's a season. That's a seasoned vet move by Matt Ganser.
That was incredible.
And he kept right on with the interview. That was what was even more impressive.
Pro's pro.
Yeah, I'm sure Ron Rudd probably looked at the week and eventually said, hey, I voted for you. So,
you might
great play. Yeah,
suit him up, let him play DB.
Knocked it down. Was incomplete.
At least put him out there on Hail Marys or whatever.
And that's one of the games we've kind of touched on a little bit, haven't gone terribly in depth on, but those Bay Rockets, they look to be for real.
When you have an offense that's running the way it is and the success that it's had over the last few years with Ron Rutt coming into the head coaching position, good things are going to happen. And right now they're undefeated right now. And they play in a very tough region as well. We were talking about Toledo Central Catholic, who they had to run up against in the first round of the playoffs last week. So they know exactly what it takes to get to that point. They know exactly if they want to go far, what they need to do. And Rocky River right now, sadly, they stand in front of that wave right now of them and success.
Yeah, Bay it's running the football and playing defense. Those are usually ingredients on teams that do well in the playoffs.
And their defense has been fantastic. Opening up the season with 4 turnovers, shutting out Keystone. They give up 28 to University, and since then 14 to Fairview. They shut out Parma, 15 against Holy Name. Rocky River, we know they can always score. They always have a team that can score, so this is a good test for that defense. But when you have a formula and that formula is working, it's going to carry you a long ways.
The other thing, we'll shift gears a little bit. How about those Wadsworth Grizzlies still back at it? And that there's something to be said when your quarterback is a wrestler. There aren't many sports where you need the mental toughness when you're on the mat to find a way to get what you want to get done. And you know, if you give me my choice, it might be a wrestler that I have as a quarterback. And Joey Boffman is one of the best in the country, not just the state. He's one of the best in the country as a 170-pound wrestler.
It's not something you see a lot, though.
No, you don't.
You know, you see point guards from the basketball team, you know, pitchers from the baseball team.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the stereotypical guys. And then you've got Boffman, who's a fantastic wrestler, obviously has the leadership skills to be a quarterback, and has translated that into a very good season so far.
And at some point, I'm going to probably want to talk to Joey Boffman at some point about that, because last year, with the new first-year head coach, team finished about 5-5 last year, but he was able to digest whatever coach and the coaching staff was telling him in that short time span and still, you know, come out with a 500 record. Now, they're undefeated right now.
And you know what happened, Nate, is they struggled at the beginning, and I think they won 4 of their last 5, 4 of their last 6. So what happened was he kind of got comfortable with what Coach Todd wanted and started understanding the game slowed down, as they say. And, you know, they're well on their way to their 6th straight win. I think it was 4 of their last 6. So they won 10 of their last 16, or 10 of their last 12. That's a good sign for Wadsworth Grizzly fans.
And also another credit, we were even talking about it with Coach when he called into the show once, that we were talking about it helps when you also have a running back snowball in the backfield as well, to be able to have to honor that. So right now that backfield, you know, you have to honor that. You have to figure out how you're going to be able to contain them and then figure out the weapons from there. But yeah, they just kind of showed off their offense last week against Stowe, and Stowe right now is kind of trailing in the league. So.
Well, one of the games that we told you we'd keep an eye on is the Kirtland Hornets taking on the Independence Blue Devils. Bryant Kaiser is at that game, joins us on the phone. Bryant, what's going on with the Devils and the Hornets?
Talking about running backs, we got plenty of them. That's why we had halftime. It is 15-7 Kirkland. They just scored at the before the halftime, a 1-yard run by Flacco. And that's where we stand, 15-7 at the half. Kirkland trying to keep that winning streak alive.
So, Bryant, you somewhat impressed with the way Independence is hanging there as they're only down, 15-7 at halftime?
Yeah, it could have been should have just been 8-7, but they had a 4th down with like a minute to go, and the snapper tried to, snap it to the punter and put it over his head. And Kirkland had the ball at the 4-yard line. Kirkland is not going to miss that opportunity to put that punch that into the end zone.
So, Brian, what is Independence doing so well to keep them in this game?
They're running the football. They run the football as well with the quarterback. Got the Kyle Stepaska. He runs the ball pretty well. The number 10, he's an option quarterback. And once he he hands off to Nick Borowski, had their running back number 6, and he's running the ball pretty well. And they just been up and down the field. Kirkland had the ball before the first quarter in, but they fumbled the ball into the end zone, so and Independence fell on it, so that's a touchback. So I guess when they got that touchdown before the halftime score, that kind of evened things out. But Kirkland, and they both is going up and down the field with their running. Kirkland got that triple back option. Independence running the football as well, so 15-7.
All right, Bryant Kaiser, we appreciate the update. Independence hanging with the Kirtland Hornets 15-7 at half. Another game that we are following and paying close attention to, Aurora and Barberton. Ryan Isley is at that game, and he joins us on the phone. Ryan, what's going on with the Greenmen and the Magic?
Good evening, gentlemen. Down here in Barberton, the Magic lead Aurora 14-0 at halftime, thanks to a long Zane Reese touchdown run in the first quarter. And then as the second quarter was coming to a close with 2 minutes left, a Malcolm Boyd pick 6 for Barberton. And you'll see the highlight. It is going to be, I didn't hashtag it, but I'm going to tell you right now, Nate, hashtag FNH top plays, because when you see this play by Malcolm Boyd, leaping up in the air, picking the ball off, and then taking it to the house to give Barberton a 14-0 lead, I'm willing to bet that we're going to see that play again tonight when you run those top 15.
Well, Ryan, the Barberton voting block is very strong as well. So if it is in that top 15, it's going to be voted on very, very heavily. What's really stood out? I know in talking in the preseason with Coach Gatto, this is kind of a game he was pointing to, and he wanted his team to be more physical than they were against Aurora a season ago. Have you sensed that from the Magic?
Without a doubt. I mean, you know that this team wanted to come in and send a message, because Barberton lost last year twice to this Aurora team. They lost the year before. They're riding a 3-game losing streak for the Green Men, and they have come out defensively, and they've not let Aurora do anything. Aurora has gotten a couple of first downs, and then, like I said, once they started to try to get to go over the top and start throwing the football there at the end of the second quarter to try to come back and make a comeback down 7-0, that's when we got the pick 6. And Aurora's offense has really just kind of been stagnant. They're not able to move the football. And on the other side, to be perfectly honest, neither has Barberton. The one big play again by Zane Reese early in the game, 80-some-yard touchdown run. Other than that, they've only had a few good plays offensively. Both teams struggling on the offensive side of the ball. But again, give credit to both defenses for that being the reason tonight. Both defenses playing very well and holding these offenses in check. Also, it's kind of it's interesting to watch, because we know that so far in Northeast Ohio this season, we have had really, really good weather, and we have gotten very lucky when it comes to Friday night football and the way that the weather has broke. Tonight, it's really windy down here in Barberton, and you can see that when the quarterbacks are throwing the football. The ball is sailing on them a little bit, so it'll be interesting in the second half to see how they adjust to the wind conditions down here.
Ryan, during a break, I actually got to see that play you were talking about when you tweeted it out, and my instant reaction was exactly what you said. Wow, that was an incredible play. Has that sort of been the difference, is Barberton's athleticism in this game? Yeah,
the athleticism of Barberton has really been the difference. Everybody talks about Keith Thompson, and with reason. I mean, Keith Thompson is a Ohio University commit, and he is a great player. But they do have athletes other than Keith, such as a Zane Reese, such as a Malcolm Boyd.
Hey, Ryan, we're going to take a look at the interception that you guys are talking about, the pick 6. We do have it queued up, and so here it is. And look at the pressure they're
I mean, it looks
trying
like
to set up a screen, and they were going to have none of that. So there is the pick 6 that makes it a 14-0 lead. What an athletic play is jumping up to get that Barberton's defensive lineman.
Ryan, what was your first reaction? Because I know you were recording it. I mean, did you almost drop the phone, or what did you do?
I had to be careful. You know this, Nate, from experience being down on the sideline recording games. I had to be careful not to let out an audible wow as that play happened. And again, yeah, you're right, not drop the phone. And I will tell you this, I've been standing down here with one of the University of Buffalo assistant coaches tonight, and when that play was over, he looked at me and just was like, wow, that was a great athletic play. I mean, that's a top 15. That's a hashtag FNH top plays if I've seen one so far this season.
Mason Hayward is the young man who did that. And I'm sure, Ryan, we appreciate the update. Thanks very much. We will continue to check in with Ryan Isley. He's obviously the one that's sending us the highlights of the Barberton-Aurora game. The thing is if you are the Barberton Magic and your defense starts to get after it, you know you're going to be able to move the ball some and score with Zane Reese, with Garrett Turnbow, with Key Thompson, with Jeff Parker in the backfield. If you get that play from the defense, now you're starting to think, home playoff game, let's see how far we can. You start thinking ahead a little bit.
This game is projected to be a very tight game, even though just looking at the score right now. But I'm just curious just to see what are some of these second half adjustments that they're going to be making in this game. But in a game like this, I mean, you're going to need some plays from your defense. You're going to need some special teams plays to be able to put your team offenses in a good situation to score. But definitely, I'm curious to see what's going to happen after halftime and some of the adjustments that they're going to make, especially Aurora. They need to make these.
Yeah, and the thing about Aurora is you look at this game and you know that, one, it's going to be hard to score against Barberton as it is. So you can't fall too far behind with this team. And two, how good offensively is Aurora? Maybe not quite as good as they've been in years past. We know they're kind of in desperation mode. Is that going to maybe play into the hands of Barberton a little bit if Aurora has to go out of character, start throwing the ball? I mean, we saw they made it tough to even throw a screen. I mean, that was a pretty perfectly set up screen, and you would have had to throw that ball 10 feet in the air for it to not get intercepted. Barberton, that defense is tough.
And now, mind you, just for readers who are not familiar with the Magic's as well, and Aurora as well, in the 2 games last year that they played, it was double-digit points separating these 2 teams. So to see Barberton ahead like this is a good sign for Coach right now. Now we're going to see how Aurora answers in the second half. And,
you know, Aurora needs to win to keep any playoff hopes alive. They have a 12-year consecutive playoff string. With 3 losses, a 4th one they won't be able to come back from. We're going to step aside and take a quick timeout. We will continue here on Friday Night Huddle on Spectrum Sports and cleveland.com. Along with Nate Klein, Dan Lobby, I'm Dave Bacon. We'll be right back.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are 2 outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mira! Awesome!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to auth-ctoke-auth and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Have you ever lived for something?